guys, and welcome back to another video. If you're new here, I'm Elle and my border collie is Ozzy. He's currently sleeping because we just got home from a really long road trip. We were all the way down in Florida. We drove and it was about 24 hours give or take, so it was a long one and we both needed to catch up on some much needed rest. Definitely isn't the first time we've done a road trip like this with the dogs. We went to California back in the summer and then we went to BC the summer before that. If you've ever wondered if a road trip will make your anxious dog better or worse or how things will go, this video is for you, and this is what happened to us. And if you like this video, make sure to like and subscribe. We have lots of upcoming travel and trips planned, so I'm hoping to vlog them more and do more content like this. Okay, so this video is going to be about what helped and what I wouldn't do again. But before we get into that, let's talk about why I actually went on this trip, why I decided to bring my dogs, and why we drove over flying. So every year, Tyler, my fiance's family, goes on a family trip to Florida, and ever since we've had the dogs, we've brought them along. We've brought them to Florida for the past 3 years, I think. It's always just been a part of the family tradition. In the past, the entire family has drove and we've all gone with the dogs, but this year everyone flew and just Tyler and I drove up with the 2 dogs. This actually ended up being a lot less stressful for both us and for the dogs because there was a lot less chaos, a lot less people, and we decided how the dog schedule looked. So I've posted a few travel shorts and reels in the past, and people are like, well, why don't you just fly? Like, you can fly with your dogs. And yes, while you can fly with your dogs, I have 2 issues. First of all, Ozzy is extremely anxious. He's also reactive, so that just really isn't an option for us because he's not small enough to fly on the plane with us. He'd have to go underneath. And then my second issue is actually a much bigger issue, both literally and physically, because Apollo is nearly 130 pounds. He is my Newfoundland. I don't share much about him on my socials, but he's a big boy, and the cost of flying him, we've looked into it, is just absurd. So those are our 2 issues, and we really can't fly with them. So if we want to bring them along, we have to drive, and we've kind of come to terms with that, and we're all right with that. We actually love driving. I personally don't do any of the driving. My fiance, does it all, but he's okay with that, and we're okay to drive if that means our dogs can come. But along with this comes an internal debate of, is this really fair to him? I have thought about this so much, and our family actually says this all the time, why don't you just leave the dogs at home? But the reality is, if we want to travel, our dogs have to come, and that's because Ozzy is anxious and reactive. Like I said, we don't have the option to leave him with anyone. Not only do I not trust anyone, but he doesn't trust anyone, so that combo just really doesn't work. And we've pretty much gone through all our options, and it's best to bring him, and he does best when we bring him with us. But we do a lot to make this fair for him. We rent a car that's big enough for both of them. We often do a stow and go rental, which is a van where the seats can actually fold into the floor, so they have the whole back seat of the van, which is a lot of room, and we put all of our luggage up on top of the car, so that gives them pretty much the entire back seat of the car to relax and spread out. And then we stop multiple times a day. We also use a variety of calming supplements to help keep him calm. We do tons for them, so yes, I do think it's fair because we make it fair for them. Now that we've gone over the basics, let's get into what actually helped Ozzy on this trip and what helped me as a dog owner to a very anxious and high energy border collie. Okay, so I have my laptop here. I've been taking notes throughout the trip of just things that worked for us and things that didn't, so that we can adjust our plan accordingly for next time. So let's get into the things that worked first, and then at the end of the video, we'll go over the things that I wouldn't do again. Number 1 is a big one. It is lowering my expectations. Not every stop had to be a win. If he barked, I wasn't gonna freak out and lose my mind over that. If he got anxious throughout the travel, that's normal for our dogs. They are in a new place, they don't know where they're going. It's normal for them to be anxious. Even a non-anxious dog is gonna be a little flustered and out of sorts during travel. But it is our job as pet owners to support them and help them through this. When we're traveling, especially doing something new with our dog in a new environment, we have to lower our expectations and be easy on ourselves, but also on our dogs. Okay, number 2 is routine. Our dogs, particularly our anxious dogs, need that routine when traveling and in a new environment. Try your best to keep feeding, walks, and sleep as familiar as you can. I know that vacations can be go, 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 and travel days are a lot, but we have to give our dogs that time to rest and reset, just like they do at home. I also highly recommend that you try your best to keep feeding consistent and the same as you would at home. There already is so much change going on in travel, they need that sense of normalcy. Predictability makes new environments safer, and this definitely helped on this recent trip that we went on. I kept feeding routines the same on the road, and once we got to Florida, I made sure that I wasn't bringing the dogs every single place that we went to. I was letting them rest and stay home to sleep because they don't need that go, go, go. They need some time to rest and reset. Okay, so number 3, and something that I really paid attention to this trip, was noticing early stress signs and cues. In the past, I was so guilty of waiting until he was over threshold to do something about it. I would wait until he was barking his head off at a gas station or losing his mind on the beach because he saw another dog before I took him away and removed that stimulus. This trip, on the other hand, I tried to be as proactive as I could. If I saw that there was another person right beside us at the gas pump or another dog at the dog park, in the other playpen, there's 2 playpens usually at Love's, then I would make sure to remove him like right away. I wouldn't let him even get to the point of barking, and that really helped on our travel days. He was a lot calmer. He was able to settle in the car, and it also helped me because I wasn't constantly overstimulated. Okay, and then the last thing that I'm going to talk about on here for what actually worked for us is giving him an off switch. We've really been working on at home, and I want to kind of translate that into our travel days for this trip. So this is something that really worked for us, and I highly recommend you start implementing with your dogs, especially if you travel. I know as a border collie owner myself, I think that they need a ton of physical stimulation and mental stimulation and all these things to be able to rest, but some days, especially when there's this many triggers on something like a travel day, it's really important to just let them rest and not give them any extra stimulation. The car should be a safe place. Put their bed in there, put a blanket with a scent from home. Hotel rooms, you should bring up their bed and their blanket if you can, maybe even a toy. It depends what stimulates your dog and gets them worked up. But for Ozzy, I know that he has a favorite toy that he sleeps with every night, whereas if I brought out a ball, he would be crazy and overstimulated. So it's really just paying attention to your dog and knowing what helps to settle them and relax them and calm them in new environments. But definitely recommend working on giving your dog an off switch. Okay, now that we've gone over the things that did work for us, let's get into the things that I will not do again ever on travel days. The biggest thing is overscheduling our days. I tried to be better about this trip, but I really need to focus on this and prioritize this going forward, because just because we're bringing our dogs on vacation doesn't mean they need to come everywhere with us. Depending on what you book at your final location, I always opt for a full house, especially because we were on a family vacation this time, so that our dogs can have enough room and it feels like a home to them. This way, it's a lot easier to leave your dogs home when you and your family or whoever it may be are going out. Yes, there may be a lot of dog-friendly things to do where you're going, and that's great, but your dogs don't always need to come. You can go out and do things without them, and this is your reminder to do that. I love taking them to the beach, especially because we're in Florida, but this doesn't need to be done 3 times a day. They don't need to come for every beach trip. They don't need to be there for hours on end. A quick beach trip in the morning or in the evening is perfectly fine, and honestly better because there's less people there. Don't feel guilty for leaving your dogs at home on vacation. I have been guilty of this myself, but it's something that we all need to work on. Our dogs need rest. Remember that. Okay, so number 2 for things that I will not be doing again is staying in overstimulating areas for too long with my dogs, to the point where they're just over aroused and can't settle. We get home and they're hyperventilating and won't stop huffing and panting for hours. This means that you were there way too long and your dog got way too overstimulated. This happened a few times on the trip, unfortunately, especially with my Newfie, Apollo. Even though he's not the anxious one, he gets really overstimulated and over-aroused. For example, one day we brought them on like the pier beach trip, and that was just way too much. There's a bunch of shops and people and tourists there, and walking up and down that for an hour plus is just too much for our dogs. Dogs anyways, I'm not speaking on behalf of all dogs, but most dogs, that's too much. Okay, number 3 is a big one and something I really need to work on, but it's ignoring my own stress, because my dogs can feel it. Everyone's dogs can feel it. If you're stressed, your dogs can feel it, and that's just a matter of fact. I need to be better of tuning in with myself and realizing when I'm anxious and working on lowering that stress for myself so that I can lower that stress for my dogs too. Ozzy in particular has a really close bond with me, and he gets really worked up whenever I'm anxious. So that's something that we're working on. It's a work in progress for 2026. Okay, so that is everything, but what I tell you if you're planning a trip with your dogs too is start smaller than you think. Start with a 1 to 2 night trip local and see how it goes. Work up to those travel days, maybe even start with some short road trips and work your way up to those longer ones. Another tip I have is to build in recovery days. Build in those recovery days for both you and your dogs. They don't need to be on the same days. Your dogs can have a recovery while you have stuff planned out and about with your family or whoever it may be. Anyways, I want to end this video by saying how grateful I am to have a dog and to be able to go on vacation with him, because he is honestly my soul dog, and all I've ever wanted all my life is to have a dog that I can bring along with me. So he's the best, and I wouldn't have it any other way. We have lots of upcoming travel plans into Florida, and then we're also hoping to go back to BC. We have some other trips. We want to really go down to Oregon with the dogs, so we have lots planned, and if you like this content, be sure to follow along and subscribe to our channel. If you're navigating life with an anxious dog, you're not alone, and I hope this channel can provide you some comfort and lighthearted moments of Ozzy and I. If you've also traveled with your dog, let me know what's helped you in the comments, because I'm always learning too. Anyways, we'll catch you in the next video, guys. Bye-bye, and I'll see you next time.